Well, good morning, everybody. It's a good day. Over the next weeks, we're going to invite you to embrace the spiritual practice of silence and solitude. We need things, I think, as much as we need anything in our world. We're going to draw on the really terrific book by Ruth Haley Barton entitled Solitude Silence. And we're going to look at the life of Elijah, the Old Testament prophet. I hope you'll buy the book. We don't have any kind of special deal or anything, but we buy stuff. So you should buy the book, and you should also listen to her podcast, which kind of help frame everything. What she does is she follows Elijah on his journey. A lot of highs, a lot of lows, and we're going to chase that. Let's begin with this. As I was thinking about why we need this, and that's kind of my today is to explain why we need solitude and silence. Every person in this room wants just a few things deeply. If there are only a few things that really matter in this universe, I know two of them. There may be others. One is that we need someone to love us. We really need that. We really want to know that we're valuable, that we matter, that someone loves us. We need to be loved. We also need to feel like, and this may be a second one, that we're doing something really important. We have important work to do. We have purpose and meaning, and there's something that we're called to do, and we feel passionate about that. We need to be loved, and we need to do something important. Started thinking about those two things, and how if we don't get those early in life, especially the love, then we spend a lot of our adult lives chasing it, don't we? And we see people doing that. I think the same goes for work. We search for love and important work in all kinds of ways. And this is where I think we begin to see why we need solitude and silence. We get busy. We become workaholics, some of us. We go from one distraction to another. We're just afraid to stop, or life might feel meaningless. So we can't do that. So we chase excitement, sometimes sinful excitement. We say yes, another thing. I'm really bad about that. Are y'all? And once you do, you think, why, Duvall, did you do yet again? You're old. You should know better. We gather fans and admirers around us. Maybe no one's heard of these fans. We feel meaningful. We feel this. We hurry and we hurry and we hurry. We fill our lives with a lot of noise. We're almost literally driven to feel loved and feel important. And then social media just played into this. I can kind of imagine social media being like a huge industrial fan that just blows stuff at us constantly. Hits us in the face constantly with stuff. One after another. Trying to satisfy this longing, love, and value. Well, I've got this jar of water, and it's just regular water with some dirt and some rocks, but it's been just sitting, doing thing, and it's fairly clear, And then life comes along, and then it's not clear. So we think the way to fix this is to do this some more. The way to fix it is just to do that, like it had been doing before I brought it up. Blaise Pascal, scientist, inventor, philosopher, Catholic theologian, writing in the mid-1600s, said this: all the unhappiness of men arises from one simple fact: they cannot stay quietly in their own room. He actually invented the time-out chair. You can go to France, see that, I'm teasing. We pursue hurry and noise and distraction in order to find love and valuable work. Now, so you don't think I've lost my mind. It's good to be busy and productive at times, isn't it? I mean, we all need that. We want that, and that's good. But it's gotten a little crazy. It's overboard these days, and it's killing our souls. And Christians don't seem to be much different from the rest of the world on this. Right now, some of you you're not really with me. You're making this to-do list. Some of you physically are making it. And that in sermons. The end result, though, is that we lose more than we gain if we just give in to hurry noise. We lose wisdom. We lose perspective. We lose depth. We lose contentment. We lose the ability to resist sin. We lose the appreciation of beauty. We forfeit originality and creativity. We just mimic people. We sometimes grow angry and bitter. Can become selfish. Our hearts can become hardened because they're really not receiving the love and value that they need from all of this hurry and noise and distraction. If we're not getting love, then we're going to have a hard time loving other people. We really will. Our rabid busyness causes us to value only productive time, productive people. And then you start asking, well, what about children? Are they productive? Well, yeah, in one sense, but destructive in another sense. What about the elderly? Are they productive? What about people with disability? Are they productive? We make poor decisions. We hurry things. We don't linger and have long conversations. When was the last time you and a friend just sat somewhere for like 3 hours and just talked? If you did, great job. We don't know how to die to ourselves because of this. We begin questioning our identity and our calling, and this outward busyness, I think, almost betrays an inner chaos, a aloneness, sometimes a confusion. We're sprinting through the world as noise and hurry yell in both ears. Our jaw are constantly being shaken. So this summer at Epoch, I want you to know that this is not really what God planned. I mean, even He rested. You know. There's another way to live. We're going to have to be a bit radical, though. We're going to have to be very countercultural, but rebellious. We're going to have to help each other. I don't think there are many of us that are experts at this. I know I'm not. I'm stumbling just to help you get the picture today. I like to charge and go and do things. But these two very practices, solitude and silence, they're not magical, but they slow us down enough to give God a chance to speak. Let me read some definitions. First one is from Dallas Willard, who wrote the preface to the book. He says, solitude and silence are the most radical of the spiritual disciplines because they most directly attack the source of human misery and wrongdoing. To be in solitude is to choose to do nothing for extensive periods of time. All accomplishment is given up. Silence is required to complete solitude. Until we enter quietness, the world still lays hold of us. When we go into solitude and silence, we stop making demands on God. Enough that God is God, we are His. We learn to have a soul, that God is here, that this world is my Father's world. It does. And Haley Barton said this: solitude and silence are not self-indulgent exercise for times an overcrowded soul needs a little time to itself. It's not downtime. That's a little different. We need that too. Rather, they're concrete ways of opening to the presence of God, beyond human effort, beyond the human constructs that cannot contain God. The practices of solitude and silence are radical because they challenge us on every level. On the level of culture, there's little in West culture that supports us in entering into what feels unproductive. They can confront a level of relationships. They call us away from the relationships for time so that we can give undivided attention to God. And then God's going to call us back into those relationships, but we'll be much better for it. They challenge us on the level of our soul. In the silence, we become aware of the inner dynamics we've been able to avoid by keeping ourselves noisy and busy. They draw us into this battle. In silence, there's potential for each of us to know that I am God, with such certainty that the competing powers of evil and sin and the ego, self, no longer hold us in their grip. All the forces of evil band together to prevent our knowing God in this way, because it brings us to an end. The dominion of those powers brings to an end the dominion of those powers in our lives. She continues, enter into solitude and silence is to take the spiritual life seriously. It's to take seriously our need to quiet the noise of our lives, to cease the constant striving of human effort, to pull away from our absorption in human relationships for a time in order to give God undivided attention. And solitude begins to free us from our bondage to human expectations. Well, there's that word, right? That's kind of a big word. But there we experience God, our ultimate reality, the one in whom we live, move, and have our being, as the Apostle Paul said. In solitude, our minds, our will, our desires are reoriented God so that we become less and less attracted by external forces and can be more deeply responsive to God's desire and prayer in us. Silence deepens the experience of solitude. In silence, we not only draw from the demands of life and the company of others, also we allow the noise of our own thoughts and striving compulsions to settle down, like the water is doing here. Reliance on our own thoughts and words, even in our praying. You ever get to this place in your prayer life where you just think I'm talking all the time? In our praying, we can be one facet of a need to control things, to set the agenda, or at least to know what the agenda is, even in our relationship with God. It's in silence we habitually release our own agendas and our need to control, become more willing and able to give ourselves to God's loving initiative. I mean, it's God. In silence, we create space for activity rather than filling every minute with our own. To get a sense of how this works, we want to go to the Old Testament, to the prophet Elijah. We're going to journey with Elijah through a number of different life experiences. And I'm not going to say a whole lot about him today because, over 9 or 10 weeks, we're really going to look at Elijah. So I don't want to steal anyone's, stuff for later on. We're going to watch him slow down to hear God. We're going to watch his accomplishments. We're going to look at all that Elijah is with God and learn that. So if you need a hard reset, this summer at Epoch is going to be good. It's going to be different. You don't hear this much in church. You often hear busy. Do this. This summer is listen. So let me just introduce you to Elijah, and then I'm going to leave you something to do this week, okay? Elijah, the prophets God used to speak to his people Israel during the reign of King Ahab. Now Ahab was not a great king. He made a poor choice in marriage partners, Jezebel. You've heard of her. They opposed God. They encouraged people to worship gods. And one of the main tasks of the prophets was to come to the people and say, no, listen to God. Don't listen to these false teachers or worship these false gods. You go back to the book of First Kings. If you want to read about Elijah. Elijah demonstrates that he's a true prophet of God. He predicts a severe drought. He predicts the end of the drought. God uses Elijah to work miracles. He multiplies flour and oil for the widow. Remember that story? God uses him to raise a widow's son from the dead. God empowers him to spiritual battle against the prophet Baal. You remember that story? We'll talk about that. We're told Elijah didn't die. God took him to heaven directly, accompanied in a whirlwind, accompanied by a chariot of fire and horses of fire. One of those stories you could go, I don't know what's going on there. It's in the Bible. Let's just give it the benefit of the doubt. At the end of the Old Testament, the prophet Malachi says, I will send you the prophet Elijah before the great and terrible day of the Lord. And Jesus shows up, and John the Baptist came in the spirit of Elijah. We're told in Luke's gospel. When Jesus is transfigured, guess who's there? Moses and Elijah. The law and the prophets fulfilled in Jesus. In other words, Elijah's kind of a big deal. We meet him not only in his spiritual victories and highs, but we meet him in his lows. I don't know if you remember the story, but he got to the place where he said, God, I just want to die. And we would step back and go, wait a minute, you're a famous prophet of God. You can't do this. Yeah, I can. I just want to be done with it. But God restored his soul. And as you walk through that, you're going to see how God wants to restore your soul too. So here's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about how we resist solitude. We really want this. It's hard for most of us to stay quiet literally for 5 minutes. We're going to talk about how tired we are. Deeply tired. We're going to talk about rest for the body, rest for the mind, the soul. We're going to talk about emptiness, facing ourselves. What is the pure presence of God, and how does God's presence restore like not even ESPN can do? Okay. God meets us at just our absolute depths and restores us. We're going to talk about then how God wants to use guidance. Solitude and silence, an invitation to be still and know that He is God. Henry Nouwen says this, with solitude, it is virtually impossible to live spiritual life. We do not take spiritual life seriously if we do not set aside some time to be with God and to listen to Him. How can we practice solitude and silence this week? Let's talk about something that you guys can do, and you keep doing this. First, a disclaimer, maybe a this is going to be hard for some of you. Some of you don't like, you're as extrovert as they come in. You don't like being still and quiet and alone at all. But you need it. You do. Second, disclaimer, some of you have kids. Do I need to say anything else? All I can say, I've been there. I worked through that for a lot of years. And first of all, you don't give up. You say, okay, Lord, help us do this. And don't stop trying, and you don't give up. But begin asking God to provide opportunities to do this. Now, in terms of what we would like for you to do this week, what I plan on doing this week is it comes in steps. Well, first of all, you need a place. I think if you don't have a place, it's probably never going to happen. This may be, the biggest challenge. You need a place where you're not always working. This is not your workplace. Be near your workplace, I guess, but you can't get in this place and think, oh, okay, now, what do I need to do? And you start producing. You need a place where you won't be interrupted, so probably not going to be around the TV. Um, you need a place where you can be still and quiet and alone and uninterrupted. And finding this place may be half the battle for all of you. Seriously. But just pray and say, Lord, I need a place. You need to be comfortable. You need to be able to be silent here. I don't necessarily go for some of this, but some will really like a lot of symbols, like you might want to let a candle during the time, or other things that represent things for you. And cool. But you need a place. Give us places. Not together, but separate. Number two, you need a time. Everybody's day is different here. When I was young, people would say, you have to have your quiet time in the morning. Well, not really. Not if you're asleep. I had a seminary record that said, Duval, just want you to know, I'm having my quiet time in my bed under the covers with my earbuds in. I'm thinking, yeah, that's between you and I, but I kind of doubt it. Everyone's different. Some of you are morning people. Some of you are not. Some of you can have this time at night. Really depends on you. That's not a huge thing. It's kind of how you're wired, and you'll know that. But in this time, you're not using this to prepare something for someone else. It's a big trap. I sit down and I start thinking, okay, I'm going to write this. No. Small. I mean, literally 5 minutes. 10 minutes. No one is going to compare their time of solitude with yours. We're not competing. I think the key is to be faithful. I mean, if you're faithful for 5 minutes, it's better than being unfaithful for the hour that you could advertise. I'm silence and solitude for. No, you're not. Being alone, being quiet, is going to be harder than you. So set a modest goal, and all right, Lord, this is going to be the time. Now, you guys, we do other things as Christians. We listen to music. We read books. We study Bible. We're all really important. What I'm doing is introducing else that often gets completely neglected. Solitude and silence. So this is not to take the play of all that, but so start modestly, 5, 10 minutes, whatever. And then you need some kind of way to begin, and then just opening prayer. And this kind of works for me. Okay, Lord, here I am. Now, it's your job now, or help, or something. Just some kind of opening prayer. And this is not the time, to do all kinds of other things. It's just a time to sit and listen. Perhaps as thoughts come to your mind, you want to write them down. Perhaps not. But you're letting go of accomplishing and achieving. You're just letting go. You're not striving, you're not thinking, you're not solving, worrying. You're listening and you're receiving. And you think, ain't nothing to happen in this time. Well, God can do interesting things. Our job is not to make something happen. Our job is to be there and be quiet and be still and be alone. And listen. You don't know what God's going to do. So the fourth step is just to be quiet still. And I just want to reassure you, God knows you're there. He's not like, whoa. He knows you're alone. He knows you're quiet. He knows you're listening. He knows it's his job to speak. He knows this. So just be God and trust him. Number 5, what about distractions? Well, you won't have any. No, they're going to come and go. Ruth Haley Barton's advice is as good as any. She says it's best not to waste energy judging ourselves because of these distractions, but rather gently bring ourselves back to our original purpose. Repeating our own prayer. Okay, Lord, Here I am. I'm just telling you that again. You might consider that you're sitting on a riverbank and you see leaves and sticks float by, and these are all distractions, and you just kind of let them go. You don't deny that they exist, but you don't focus on them. You don't condemn yourself for seeing them. You just go back to your original prayer. After your time, you would have some kind of a closing prayer. God, thank you for being present with me, for being faithful. Maybe the Lord's Prayer. And then as you walk away, you don't think, okay, now I need to evaluate this time. No, don't do that. Just keep doing it and watch God work. You see that water's just a little bit clearer. Now you leave it, several more hours, and it'll be like it was when I brought it up here. So doing nothing can actually bring really deep, lasting change. Sitting in God's presence allows us to listen rather than tell God all the things we want Him to do. Start letting go of control. I think that's probably one of the biggest problems. That's kind of what Adam and Eve did. And that's where we got started on this, bad trajectory. Control. But it allows us that God really loves us. We're back to that. We get clarity on our identity and our calling, and that enables us to do this important work that God wants us to do. And we feel the world's pull and pressure just sort of back off a little bit. Relax. Stop marching to a drum beat. And water settles. First to take with you, and then a prayer, and we'll close. Psalm 46:10, many of you know it. Be still and know that I am God. NIV. I love this be. Stop fighting. Know that I am God. Stop struggling. Stop being like that little kid who doesn't really know what they need, but they think they do. Let's pray. This prayer is entitled, Gather Me to Be With You. Oh God, gather me now, be with you, as you are with me. Soothe my tiredness, quiet my fretfulness, curb my aimlessness, relieve my compulsiveness. Let me be easy for a moment. O Lord, release me from the fears and guilt which grip me so tightly. From the expectation and opinions I so tightly grip, that I may be open to receive what you give. Open to risking something genuinely new, to learning something refreshingly different. Oh God, gather me to be with you as you are with me. Amen.